Hello and welcome to the Trumped Up Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3, Democrats on Defense. I'm your host, Keith Rao. This is the Trumped Up Podcast. It's available across all major podcasting platforms. You can also support our show by clicking the link under the podcast. And we thank you for your support. And if you'd like to send us a voice message, there's also a link for that. You can email us at trumpeduppodcast@yahoo.com. If you'd like to be a guest on the show someday, you can also check out our YouTube channel. We're on Twitter, Parler, Instagram, and Facebook. Come join the Trumped Up Podcast in the Trumped Up Podcast Facebook group and the Trumped Up Podcast Facebook page. Are growing quite drastically, and it's great. So the DNC happened 2 weeks ago, and the RNC happened over the last week. And the Democrats pretty much brought in Hollywood and celebrities and didn't really talk about anything they were going to do. They just talked about how they weren't Donald Trump, and you should vote for them because they're not Donald Trump. All this stuff they campaign on, like equal rights and like they're going to fix things. But you see, they're always campaigning on the issue because they want to have the issue to campaign on. But they never do anything because they don't want to solve the issue. They just want to have the issue to campaign on so they can say they're going to solve you from the problem. But they are the problem. Yes, Republicans are the problem too at times. But they seem to be the party of the people at the moment. And the Democrats are just going farther and farther left. And the RNC, man, that was a pretty good convention, I tell you. It was a drastic celebration of diversity and the American worker and the American people and the American family and the American conservative and religion and just a celebration of America and how great we are and how much more great we can be. And it showed how much minority support that Trump actually has, which is probably part of the reason the Democrats are freaking out, because after their convention, Biden got zero bump, which is odd, because after conventions, people always get bumps in their polling numbers, but it didn't happen for them. And after the RNC, suddenly the polls are tightening up, especially in swing states where they're all within the margin of error, which if you go back to the 2016 election, Hillary was toasting Trump in the polls. But if it's within the margin of error, that means Trump's winning, period. And internal polling probably shows this. And, you know, for the entire primary season and all this rioting and looting in the streets, the Democrats didn't come out and do anything. They didn't condone it. Actually, Biden actually called for more of it and the chaos in the streets, but nobody wants chaos in the streets, dude. Hence, defunding police is just going to lead to more of that, and that's just going to be more chaos. And anyone who's delusional enough to think that if you vote for Joe Biden, suddenly all this chaos in the streets is going to go away, it's not, because these people are anarchists, and they want to tear down the system. Sadly, if you take the Seattle Autonomous Zone as an example, they kind of tore the system down and replaced it with the same system of you need people in charge, you need security, you need order, you need law and order. Because when you don't have it, then people get hurt, people get killed, people get raped, people get robbed, and crime skyrockets. Then you have cities like Chicago, Baltimore, LA, Portland, Seattle. Notice all these cities have the same thing in common. For decades and decades and decades, they've had Democrat leadership. I mean, Chicago hasn't had a Republican leadership since like 1930-something, I believe it was. And it's just insane that, to the point they had to come out after Trump's bump after the convention, and it looked so good, and people could see, oh my God, look at all the diverse people. They actually went and did polling in Wisconsin, and 2 months ago, Black Lives Matter actually had plus 25 points positivity rating. And at this juncture, it's a big fat whopping zero. Which takes me to these freaking sports people right now out there. Oh, let's not play and let's protest and let's kneel for the flag and all this stupid crap they do. You know, if they want to be political, they want to put their money where their mouth is, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach told them. Protesting is just talk. It's not action. It's not going to accomplish anything. But put your money where your mouth is, start a cause, and go out and fix things and change things, because protesting isn't going to change anything. Never has, never will. It's never gonna. Especially if you include rioting and looting in it, because you're just going to lose public support. But, I tune into a NASCAR race, and I want to watch racing. I don't want to hear about politics. If I want to hear about politics, I tune into the Trumped Up podcast, or I turn on Fox News, or I go to Breitbart or some other political page, Bongino's podcast, go to Hannity's Facebook page, wherever, the RNC's page, the DNC's page. You can even go to CNN Politics if you're that sad in life and really want to read a bunch of bullshit, or you just need a good laugh. I don't know, but it is what it is. But yeah, take the political messages and all this stupid crap out of sports, because sports gives us an escape in life, somewhere to go to get away from this stuff, because yes, everything is political, but every now and then you need a break. Which takes me to my next point. I see Trump signs, even billboards that people make themselves, and Trump flags all over my liberal city in the liberal state of Massachusetts where I live. And I see a whole bunch of Black Lives Matter signs. But you know what I haven't seen? Oh, I've even seen a few Bernie, vote for Bernie signs. But I didn't see not one damn Biden sign. I ain't seen a Biden-Harris sign anywhere. So that should, did they not get these things out? Because I see Trump boat parades, and what's the Biden boat parade going to be? A bunch of people show up in kayaks and canoes, and they paddle their way while they're throwing fire bombs off, or is that how they're going to run away from looting? Hey, that takes me to, they like to protest. So next time one of these hurricanes are coming, because there's two out in the tropics, they say have 30% and a 40% chance of development. And we have 74% of the hurricane season to go still, and the peak isn't until the middle or the end of next month. So why don't these people, they're all against climate change, remember? So why don't they all just go out to where the next hurricane's coming, right where they're predicting it's going to hit, and protest the damn thing and see if that stops the hurricane? Or, hey, take $18 million and throw it at the hurricane and maybe it'll go away. That's the same concept as saying, oh, we need to raise taxes so we can pay all this money to stop climate change. When our frickin' carbon emissions have gone down drastically, here's a better idea. Take millions of dollars and plant some trees. And then go to California and clean up all the dead debris that they say you shouldn't clean up. But if you don't, it leads to wildfires like are going on right now. Yet again, another Democratic failed policy. So we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back with the Trumped Up podcast. Hey, you too can join the podcasting world and be one of the greatest podcasters out there. Build an audience, get sponsorships, earn money, and do many, many interesting things. You can also get listener support to help sponsor your show, all by using Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to become a podcaster. Anyone can do it. If you got something to say, or someone thinks you got something to say, or you just want to say something, come and join Anchor and join the podcasting revolution. Hello, and welcome back to the Trumped Up Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3, Democrats on Defense. I am your host, Keith Rao, and remember, tell your friends, share our podcast with your friends, share the Trumped Up Podcast page on Facebook with your friends, and you'll be doing us a great favor because you get the message out there. But we hit a milestone just yesterday. We hit 1,400 plays of this podcast in just over a year. I know that's not some major thing like some of these famous news media people's podcast of millions of plays or Joe Rogan. But for a guy who was relatively nobody and just a Trump supporter and knew that the media wasn't giving the people a message and we had to give it to the people straight, that's why this is the podcast for the people. It's of the people, for the people, and by the people. I'm not some famous media guy. I'm not a news person. I'm not some weirdo from Hollywood and their craziness because they think they know it all, but they don't know shit. Like Alec Baldwin and all these crazy people and Alyssa Milano. And I noticed most of these celebrities who are like Trump bashing and say all this crazy shit are the ones with the most washed up careers that are over. Some of them haven't done anything in years, or Bette Midler picking on Melania Trump's accent. Hey, Bette Midler, you were never that great of an actress to begin with. You know, wow, you get paid to pretend you're somebody else. Well, you should have ran for politics because most of them get paid to pretend to be somebody they're not. That's why we love our great president, Donald Trump, because he is who he is. He's a New Yorker, and he talks like a New Yorker, and he's a real person. And that's what the fucking media doesn't get. Pardon my profanity. I don't usually go there, but it is what it is. But yeah, he comes out, and he tells you how it is, and he doesn't sugarcoat it, and it's go, 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 and I'm up at 3 a.m., and Biden's taking a nap at 2 p.m., man. Which takes us to right after this RNC convention, the very next day, Trump holds a rally up in New Hampshire. He was on fire. He's always on fire, but he hasn't been able to do a lot of these lately. But if you judge by the protest at the Lincoln Memorial, what a great place you could hold a freaking giant rally and the rally for America. And people come from all over the place enjoying this thing. But being in D.C., that might be a problem with the chaos and the rioters and the organized and the paid instigators that show up. But no, their march, it was very peaceful, and it was the anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech. And that should be more of how they do this. But still, all those people gather there, which also, at first they were showing the people gathered on the National Mall. And I'm sure on CNN and MSNBC and the liberal media and the fake news, they were probably talking about how large and great this was and how many people were there. But then I'm looking over to the left and it's like totally empty and there's nobody over there. And I'm thinking, I remember they picked on Trump's inauguration size, but it was more people than were at that march right there. So if they're saying the turnout was drastic and great, and they probably should get over it because there was more people at Trump's inauguration. And the next inauguration, there'll probably be even more people if we can get past this stupid-ass coronavirus. But yeah, you know, the Democrats are on defense now. That's not the way in a political campaign you should ever be campaigning. Don't campaign on the defense, because if you're on the defense, you're losing. Hence, they suddenly came out, and Biden does several interviews in one day and a couple the day before, and he's suddenly condemning the riots and the violence and says it's got to stop because polling numbers tanked for what was going on. And they're like, oh man, we got to say something. Point, they even sent Harris out to actually do a live event. But then they announced that after Labor Day, I guess Trump said it was 10 days. I don't know exactly how many days it is, but maybe he meant 10 days after the convention. But they're going to finally come out and do live events. But here's the hilarious part of that. They probably shouldn't, because Trump will show up and have a few thousand, and then Biden and Harris will show up and it'll be 100 people, and it's going to look really bad again. And you know, they're not going to take any tough questions, really. Get some balls, Biden. Go on Hannity or Tucker or even Laura Ingraham, or go on with Shannon Bream at 11 o'clock at night where there's less people watching, although her ratings are really good. So, but yeah, everything, they're reacting to things now. Biden and Harris, they're reacting to, the riots in the street and this and the RNC convention. But if you're always reacting, and they come up with these crazy ideas, like they try to compare the economy over the last 6 months, and that's all they're campaigning on about the economy, not the records we were setting 6 months ago, the first 3 years, and how great and all the accomplishments. There is a video on my Facebook page, which there's been some more things like the Middle East peace deal that was signed since then, but yeah, they go out and they campaign like this, and they are on the defense the whole time here now, and they think they know what's good for America, but polling told them otherwise, so they must have said it's not good to be in the basement. But that takes us to Pelosi, who says, don't tell Biden. Hey, newsflash, lady, you're on national TV. You just told Biden and his campaign and his handlers that he should skip the debate because Trump's a criminal in the White House, or whatever the hell she said the other day. I don't know. This woman's lost her mind. I don't think she had all that much mind to begin with, but maybe the liquid brain's kicking in from all the booze she seems to have drunk in her life because drunk, whatever. She's drunk. Or maybe she's on some serious medication, but apparently Nancy knows that if Biden debates Trump, it's going to be an embarrassment, and he's going to have to run back to the basement. Seriously. It's just crazy. She's just trying to give him an out. But I agree with the Trump campaign that one of these debates should happen before the primary or, early voting starts, whatever, not the primary. Because, I think early voting starts right after the primary in my state here, which still has to happen. But that's when you pick whoever to run against whoever in your state mostly. But yeah, they're on the defense now, and if they keep campaigning on the defense and they keep reacting instead of being on the offense, they're never going to win. But yeah, they're trying to come back to my thought of how they're trying to use the last 6 months' economy to make Trump look bad because the economy's bad now, although it's coming back quicker than anybody ever expected. But if you do that, that's like taking NASCAR driver Jimmy Johnson's career, which spans 20 years, I think, or somewhere in that range. And you say, oh, Jimmy Johnson sucks. He hasn't won in 3 years, and he's washed up, and he can't do it anymore. And if you took the 3 years and said, and you just took his stats and put his name next to it, like, oh, this guy's horrible, man. He's barely got any top fives or any of this. He's barely made the playoffs a few times. But this guy won 7 championships. He has 83 wins, and 5 of those championships he won consecutively. So if you take his whole career overall, that's Hall of Fame. But if you take the economy over the last 6 months, it looks bad. But if you take the economy over the last 3.5 years, you're going, they can say whatever they want, but I got ears and eyes, and I can read, and I got a brain, and that's not reality. And come next year, we're going to be right back at them levels, if not even higher. But hopefully we can get rid of this freaking virus soon and back on with life and get out of our basements or not have to wear masks in public. But yeah, this has been the Trumped Up Podcast, and we thank you for tuning in. Thanks for your support. And we'll be back next time with another exciting episode of the Trumped Up Podcast.